to you, Adventure of the Interwebs. My name's Mikey. This game right here is Natural Selection 2. I was able to have a little interview with Hugh, their PR man, at the Rezzed 2012 convention. As with the Raiders one, this was recorded from a camcorder microphone, so the sound's not quite as good as usual, but bear with it and I hope you enjoy the interview. When I first heard about this game, I heard FPS, RTS, my mind got boggled. How do the two mix together?
I know, it's a little bit crazy. Well, I mean, if I could give you an example, and I do use this a lot, so forgive me, but if you're playing StarCraft or Command and Conquer, and you've got units on the ground, and you give those units an order, those units will do it, no matter what, because they have to, because they're computer controlled. Well, in Natural Selection 2, you're going to be playing from a commander perspective, so that kind of real-time strategy view, traditional what you would expect in Command and Conquer or StarCraft 2 or something like that. But when you select one of your units, and you tell that unit to move, that unit is a real person who has free will, that receives the order on their screen, but that can then make creative choices about how they go about following that order.
So they might do it to the letter, or they might make up their own mind and do something a little bit different.
Exactly, and that's really exciting because a less experienced player will probably just follow the order and attack. A very experienced player might see that you're attacking a particular hive and say, right, I know there's a better way in there. I can go around the back and get it sneaky, so it allows people to express their own creativity in a real-time strategy context.
And that could be what could make or break a win for a game, couldn't it? Because it's that split-second reaction. So it's not too much on the RTS side needing to have the micro as much then?
Not as much, although there are, the Marine side especially are very APM-y, so actions per minute style. You've got a lot of things like you want to be dropping med packs for your team, you want to be dropping ammunition packs for your team, shielding them, and there is a lot of structure building, of course, things like resource towers, upgrading various armory buildings, etc., etc. So there's a lot to do. And on the alien side as well, although it's more of a gardener experience rather than a frenetic kind of StarCraft-y kind of thing. So yeah, there's definitely a lot that needs to be done, but not having to micro your individual units is obviously really cool.
Now you mentioned you got the two sides there. You got the Marine side and the Alien side. So what's the storyline there? What's the difference between the two in the gameplay?
Well, they are completely and utterly different. It's completely asymmetrical gameplay. So the Marine side, sort of standard view. You've got a weapon on the right-hand side of the screen. Very traditional first-person in that sense. You get various weapons that you can buy from various structures, various pieces of equipment such as jetpacks, grenade launchers, flamethrowers, all that kind of good stuff that you need to do with aliens as usual. Yeah. So, and then on the Alien side, it's completely different. It's nothing like it. Instead of being equipment-based like the humans are, it's instead class-based. So there are 5 different alien life forms. Each one of them moves in a completely different way. For example, one of them runs on walls and ceilings. One of them slides around on the floor. One of them blinks in and out of existence to get around. One of them flies, and one of them acts like a big giant vehicle that charges through hallways. So they all move completely differently, and they all have completely different roles. For example, that one that slides along the ground, he's a combat engineer called the Gorge, who can drop Minecraft-style structures to build things, can drop turret-like tentacle hydras. So each one of them has a completely different role, and depending on how much resources you have, how much you're gathering, that will decide what alien life form you can access.
Sounds good. Now you've mentioned a few times StarCraft. How do these other RTS and other FPS influence, and what are the main influences behind this game?
I guess all RTSs would influence Natural Selection 2 through the way they execute tech trees, resource systems, so all those kind of traditional things that you find in most RTSs, that we've got them as well. And they're just often they're tweaked a little bit to allow for the fact that the players are real human players. For example, the resource system is really boring for a real human player to go back and forth from a mineral patch or from whatever field of resources, whatever the game has. So for us, the resource collection is automatic, provided the structure has been placed, and it will continue to tick until it's destroyed.
And is it the controller that makes the placement?
So the commander will make a placement of a structure, and on the Marine team, structure will then be sort of placed as a glowing orb, and then the Marine players actually have to run up to it and build it using their builder key, using their builder tool, and once they've built it, it will be active. On the Alien side, they just place it, it starts to grow very slowly. If, however, they have a Gorge, that combat engineer class, that Gorge can heal the structure up and make it grow faster.
And of course they can destroy each other's structures as well.
Absolutely, that's the aim of the game, kill the enemy.
Now I was playing a little bit, is it the Gorge, which is the one that runs around onto the walls and the roof?
That's the Skulk.
That's the Skulk. I was playing a little bit of that, and what I really enjoyed about that was going through the vent systems and stuff. Which it gave me a bit of a feel of like an assassin-y kind of game, sneaking about. Was there any any inspiration behind that, or was it just...
I think the Skulk is fairly original. I mean, the fact that you see through his mouth and
that's
biting creatures.
I feel like a shark or something. It's great.
I think it's just naturally come about as an interesting way to play a game, and as an interesting character for a game. So I know that so many games have influenced Natural Selection 2, Natural Selection Selection, the original. So many movies, especially Aliens, is a huge influence for us. The original Aliens movie. So there's definitely lots of influences. I couldn't pin a specific one down for this sculpture.
They're just drawing from lots of good places.
Absolutely, and that's
I was playing as the alien figure, and I felt like a little Zerg running about.
Yeah.
The thing I really liked about the game, as I was playing it, is I'm more of an FPS kind of person, or a basher. I'm not so good at the RTS side, so I don't really need to be good at RTS to be able to be useful for my team. Someone else can be taking care of that for me. Now, when we start off with the game, if it's a newer player coming to it, is there different skill levels for servers and stuff? Do newer players play together, get grouped together?
We don't have a persistence system. We don't have a ranking system. We'd love to have one one day. We won't have one for version 1 because we are such a small studio. There are only 8 of us in the office in San Francisco, so we won't have that. We definitely identify servers as being for less experienced players, and we encourage our community to be very supportive of new players as well. And there's various mechanisms we're looking at for helping new players become better commanders. Because obviously it's a crucial role. 1 in every 8 players needs to be willing to be a commander on a relatively regular basis, because not everyone does want to command. For example, I'm a terrible commander.
I would be absolutely all for it as well. Now, you mentioned that you're just a team of 8 people going through it, so it's a very small team. How does community influence you more, because it's such a small team that you can vibe off it more with the community? Does it have a big role with the development of the game?
Absolutely, and it's a combination of 2 things. The first is that we are small, and obviously, therefore, naturally, we are just more responsive, I guess. It's just how small firms often are. But secondly, our game is extremely moddable and changeable. So we're built on our very own engine called Spark, which is the game source code is completely open source. I could alt-tab into it in Notepad right now. Even better, I can alt-tab into it in our own very own scripting tool, which comes with the game, along with our map editor.
And that's been supplied for everybody to be able
Everybody that gets the game has that.
Lovely.
So map editor, also our cinematic editor, which is like a really small version of Source Filmmaker that we've had for a while. So that's, we can make movies in that. We also have our animation tools. All of that comes with the game. And why is that relevant to what you just asked me? Because you asked, how does your community affect your game? Well, because the game is so plastic, so moddable, because people can do so much to it, we have the community doing stuff for us all the time, prototyping different balance changes, creating new maps. For example, one of our official maps was created by the community. Our entire spectator system was created by the community.
Wow.
So the input is huge. We have, huge discussions on our forums about balance. Why does the Fade do 800 damage instead of 5? Can we change this? Can we tweak this? And a lot of balance changes come from that.
That's really fantastic. And if there's one way to please the community, it's with modding. I mean, Minecraft and these other games, they're just prime examples of how the community modding just almost makes it a completely new kind of game. You started off as a Half-Life 2 mod.
Half-Life 1 mod.
Half-Life 1 mod. And how did you go from a Half-Life 1 mod to having one amazing looking game that's on display here?
Lots of time, lots of commitment, especially by the founder of Unknown Worlds, Charlie Flair Cleveland, and his business partner Max McGuire, who's the technical director who wrote this entire engine. Huge amount of commitment from them, especially through the tough years of trying to get funding and all that. Great people, such as our lead programmer Brian Cronin, our art director Corey Strader. Bring together brilliant people, and finally I think just having the perseverance to go with it, because it has been 10 years since the original, and for most of the Natural Selection 2 development it was only 3 or 4 people, and it's only recently it's actually become 8. So it's a huge undertaking to create your own engine and your own game.
I bet.
And you have to be willing to stick with it despite serious setbacks. So
Now, you mentioned funding. Is the new way that Kickstarters have been, and the revolution with the gamer being able to fund the game for development, has that helped at all to be able to move things along?
This game would not be here if it wasn't for fan funding. So we had originally there was a bit of angel investment to get the company going, but crucially was pre-orders for the game. So we had about 20,000 pre-orders initially. We've now worked up to 40,000, and along with various other funding sources, we're set to go to release this game, and we hope that we can continue as a company afterwards. But
I can definitely see why getting the pre-orders. Just playing it a little bit earlier, it felt smooth. It didn't feel buggy, and it was really enjoyable, especially playing as an alien. Having that mouth around the camera, I hadn't experienced that, being a jump from wall to wall, run around on the ceiling, wait for someone to run underneath and jump on top of them and bite their head off. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed that. For people that want to be able to get involved with this game, is there any betas they can get involved with at the moment?
Absolutely, you can. If you want to see a game before it is finished, and it's very kind that you called it smooth and non-buggy, I'd say it is definitely buggy because it is not finished, and we're very open about that because we love our community to report bugs. It's not not finished. There are features missing. There is balance problems, there's performance problems. All that stuff that you'd expect out of a game that's not finished is there. So if you do go to naturalselection2.com, you can buy into the beta. And if you do so, you'll be buying into a game that's not finished. You do get all those tools that I mentioned before, and also you get access to the full game for free on release. So it's definitely, it's not something for everyone, but if you want to see a game grow, if you want to see a game before it is ready for prime time, if you want to see what goes into making a video game in the modern age, then absolutely come and join us, and I'll see you in a server somewhere, and hopefully you won't frag me too much.
And I think the majority of you guys watching this are definitely going to be into doing that, because I know you've come from the Minecraft communities and the other things where they're getting involved with the beta, and of course beta is beta. There's going to be bugs and flaws that need to be fixed and sorted out.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned the website naturalselection2.com.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So that's one way you can get involved. Is there any other way that they can find out more about the game?
The two best things you can probably do are follow at NS2 on Twitter and Natural Selection 2. Facebook.com/naturalselection2. And I realize a lot of games companies probably say that, but we really mean it. What you get on our Twitter feed and on our Facebook feed is real stuff from the actual office every day.
Oh,
literally
good.
Photos of people doing random
things.
things.
Not just PR announcements.
It's definitely not. I mean, me, I'm not a PR guy. I actually have no training whatsoever. I'm just a fan who was hired.
Yeah.
So literally, we don't do that hardcore PR thing, and we are giving you real stuff. So things that you'll see on those Twitter feeds are things like, hey, we're at Rezzed, or hey, here's a photo of Max doing some amazing coding, and hey, we're releasing a new build today. So you will get real stuff with those feeds, and I don't say it lightly. Please follow us on those, and you'll be able to get more info about.
Make sure you check the description box, because there will be links for everything we're talking about in the description box. Finally, when can we get this game? When's it being released?
So the full release out of beta, we are hoping and we're confident that it will be between August, September, around that time. We don't have a specific date. There's no way we're going to get in everything we want by that date, but we are going to be releasing, we patch this game bi-monthly, so every 2 weeks, like clockwork, and we will continue to do that, maybe at a slightly slower pace after release. There'll be new content. There's so much we want to put in, but we just can't get it in by release.
So how many maps have you got at the moment?
There'll be 6 in the game for release, plus whatever community maps are also out there. I mean, there's so many of them, and we might get more community maps becoming official, so it could become 7 or 8, but definitely 6, and there will be more afterwards. And with Steam Workshop, it makes it so easy to get into new content.
Steam Workshop, I'm glad you mentioned that. So you're going to use in the Steam Workshops, similar to how Skyrim uses that as well?
Yes, absolutely. We were actually, I think we were either second or third game to go into the list. We took ourselves off the list because we don't want it quite up there yet, but we realised we were actually only the second or third game after Skyrim, and I think there might have been one other before us, but it's very exciting. We're hugely into Steam Workshop, and we'll be using that as a really big vehicle for pushing things like community maps, mods, new gameplay modes, etc.
And I hope you enjoyed that interview right there. That was my second interview that day, and I thought it went pretty good. He was a really, really nice fella. I'm really excited about this game. It was my favourite game of Rezzed 2012. And they're indie. They're completely indie. They don't even have a marketing budget. So that's probably why you haven't heard of them if you haven't heard of them yet. But it's one fantastic game. I had so much fun. I played that the most out of any other game. And there was Borderlands 2 was at Rezzed 2012, but I preferred this to Borderlands 2. Now that's saying a lot, I know, but I mean it. This game was immense. You gotta get involved with it. I'm definitely gonna. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. Make sure you click on them links in the description box, and I'll see you in the next one.